Hello guys, welcome back to LR Anime. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Renegade Immortal Part 311 to 312 based on novel. So let's start. At this moment in the space that didn't belong to the sealed realm or the outer realm, where the 7 plants were being nourished, the red fruit became even more delicate and ripe. The heaven-defying bead slowly rotated inside the fruit and emitted a blue flame. This flame permeated the inside of the fruit, making its appearance even more shocking. A long time passed. In addition to the blue flame, flashes of thunder appeared and slowly fused with the blue flame. Then a battle intent charged out. It used the liquid inside the fruit as nutrients and gradually fused with the blue flame and thunder. The fusion of thunder, fire, and battle would be impossible outside this place, but here, where immeasurable amounts of Tao intent had been gathered as nutrients, this impossible transformation was occurring. More importantly, there was also the heaven-defying bead inside the fruit. As time slowly passed, a new domain slowly appeared. This was the true and false domain. It appeared in the shape of a yin-yang symbol. Half was true and half was false. Half was karmic cause and half was karmic effect. Half was life and half was death. After this yin-yang symbol appeared, it immediately absorbed the fire, thunder, and battle domain. The yin-yang symbol seemed to form a vortex and absorbed everything inside the fruit. The heaven-defying bead was at the center of the yin-yang symbol and rotated with it. Wang Lin was completely sober and felt all of this happen. He was in a very strange state where he seemed like he was there but not there at the same time. As the yin-yang symbol rotated, thunder, fire, and battle were all absorbed by it. Within Wang Lin's newly born consciousness, he murmured as if he was sending a divine sense message, fire. Among the laws, the Tao that melts all life. The moment this divine sense message appeared, a large amount of the liquid inside the fruit was sucked into the yin-yang symbol. This liquid contained the Tao intent of everyone who had died and comprehended the Tao of fire when they were alive. The fruit was no longer beautiful as the liquid was being devoured by Wang Lin. Wrinkles appeared on the surface of the fruit. Under this crazed absorption, Wang Lin seemed to sink into endless reincarnations. He suddenly became an old man standing among the stars who controlled the fire of the world with a wave of his hand. Then he suddenly became a middle-aged man. With a lift of his hand, a cultivation planet turned into a sea of flames. He also became a young man who walked out from a world filled with flames. As he walked out, the flames were all absorbed. Reincarnations similar to this appeared one by one inside Wang Lin's mind. Each one represented someone's enlightenment of fire. This cycle continued, and those comprehensions of the Tao of fire fused with Wang Lin's consciousness. They were deeply engraved into his mind and became a part of him. All comprehension of fire, from the ancient times to now, from the celestial realm to the 4-star systems, they all became nutrients for Wang Lin. The comprehension from their lives had all been sucked away and became a type of Tao nutrient. However, now it was all absorbed by Wang Lin. Thunder, among the laws, it is the Tao that punishes all life. The moment he sent out the second divine sense message, the large fruit shrank rapidly. Large amounts of liquid were absorbed by Wang Lin, and the Tao intent flooded into Wang Lin's consciousness. He saw all the cultivators that cultivated thunder throughout all of history. The comprehension of thunder from all these ancient cultivators rushed into Wang Lin's consciousness. He seemed to have been reincarnated tens of millions of times, experiencing countless lives. He became the unfamiliar yet familiar ancient cultivators and obtained the power of thunder over and over again. He obtained the thunder Tao from comprehension again and again. Battle. Among the laws, the Tao that doesn't bow to the heavens or earth. All of the Tao intents that contained the battle domain rushed into Wang Lin's consciousness. They turned into an earth-shattering will that was engraved into Wang Lin's mind. The fruit shrank even more. As more liquid was absorbed by Wang Lin, even this crimson-red plant that was thousands of feet wide began to tremble. Just at this moment, a shocking voice echoed inside the star system where these 7 different colored flowers were located. The Tao fruit is about to appear, but why is it wilting? Just as the sound appeared, a powerful divine sense charged at the fruit. However, as soon as the divine sense closed in, The heaven-defying bead inside the Tao fruit released a gentle light that collided with the divine sense. The divine sense was immediately bounced back. The moment the divine sense was bounced back, a shocking change took place. The fruit withered like crazy until it was almost dry, and even its skin collapsed into specks of red crystals that were absorbed by the yin-yang symbol around the heaven-defying bead. It didn't end there. The moment the fruit was sucked dry, the red plant trembled violently and began to wither rapidly. None of the essence of the plant could escape from being sucked into the heaven-defying bead. Wang Lin's consciousness immediately felt an unimaginable amount of origin energy rush into his mind. His domain began to rapidly grow from the absorption from before. As he absorbed like crazy, countless Tao intents and origin energy rushed into him. Wang Lin felt like he was going to collapse. This intense pain seemed to be able to tear his mind. His domain diffused across his mind. True and false, life and death, karma, also, thunder, fire, and battle. All of these things melted and became his own comprehension. They fused, becoming a new type of law that had never appeared before. The moment this law appeared, Wang Lin's cultivation trembled as if countless bolts of thunder had exploded. He broke through from the mid-stage of nirvana cleanser to the late stage. This law contained true and false along with thunder, fire, and battle to become Wang Lin's own unique Tao. This law contained thunder, fire, battle, life and death, karma, and true and false. Only by fusing all of those countless Tao intents with his true and false domain could Wang Lin have advanced from the mid-stage of nirvana cleanser to late stage in such a short period of time. However, it wasn't over. Under the protection of the heaven-defying bead, while no one noticed, Wang Lin's mind was sucked into the heaven-defying bead. As he constantly comprehended and absorbed the countless Tao intents, his cultivation level began to move toward the peak of the nirvana cleanser state. It seemed like not even peak nirvana cleanser was the end as he absorbed the Tao fruit. Something like this had never happened before. Wang Lin was getting infinitely close to peak nirvana cleanser and infinitely close to nirvana shatterer. The gap between nirvana cleanser and nirvana shatterer was huge and often required tens of thousands of years of cultivation to step over. However, after absorbing one of the 7 fruits, this gap was narrowing rapidly. Without this peerless opportunity, if he wanted to go from nirvana cleanser to nirvana shattered, even with countless pills, Wang Lin would need a very long time. However, right now the Tao he had obtained wasn't something he had comprehended himself, it had been absorbed through experiencing countless lives. It would take time to comprehend and transform them all, but right now Wang Lin didn't have time to think about it in detail. He could clearly feel that the heaven-defying bead was absorbing the essence of the fruit and plant like crazy. It was equivalent exchange. The heaven-defying bead had helped him get past this life and death crisis, so it had to absorb enough power in return. Wang Lin wasn't unfamiliar with this state as he was already aware of its nature. Every time the bead activated, it had to absorb a large amount of origin energy. If I miss this chance, I'll regret it in the future. I'd rather spend time to understand it than miss this opportunity. This was the first time since Wang Lin obtained the heaven-defying bead that he fought with it for power. I'm the owner of the heaven-defying bead, not its slave. I completed your 5 elements and found yin and yang energy for you. You saved me from danger, and I thank you, but the exchange is already complete. If you take all the benefits, then how am I different from a slave? So what if I steal some of the power from you? I'm the owner of the heaven-defying bead. Heaven-defying bead. The ancient voice revealed an unimaginable shock. The space in the star system distorted and an old man wearing a black robe appeared. He looked at the heaven-defying bead in the middle of the yin-yang symbol and immediately charged over. However, just as he closed in, he was stopped 100 feet away without being able to get half a step closer. He could only watch helplessly as the red flower that had been painstakingly planted by the sovereign and then nourished for countless years be completely absorbed. The plant rapidly wilted until it disappeared from the star system. From now on, the 7 colored flowers were missing one, and only 6 colors remained. After absorbing it all, the yin-yang symbol was also absorbed by the heaven-defying bead. All that remained were the 6 other flowers and the heaven-defying bead. Just at this moment, the heaven-defying bead released a blinding light that shrouded the entire star system. At the same time, a giant illusionary door appeared in the star system. This door was large enough to support the world, and an ancient aura spread out from it. This door was shut tight without any gap. The old man in black stared at everything that happened before him with eyes filled with disbelief. However, there was also intense greed in them as his hands formed a seal and he charged out once more. However, just as he closed in, the giant door slowly opened. The moment it opened, a powerful light shined out and enveloped the old man. A miserable scream echoed and the old man's eyes became filled with fear. He no longer charged forward but quickly retreated. Seal. Could the Lord of the Sealed Realm have resurrected? Black smoke came from the old man's body as if he was being burnt, revealing his thin body under his robe. His body emitted a lot of smoke, as if even someone as powerful as him would melt before this light. The door opened and an aura that shocked the world spread out. It spread out along the border of the realm sealing formation. The realm sealing formation changed drastically again shortly after Tuor Sen left. Even the last formation spirit that had never appeared before appeared. This last formation spirit was a jade. The moment the jade appeared, countless ripples spread across the realm sealing formation and endless rumbles echoed. At this moment, the powerful people of the ancient star system felt an aura that made their minds tremble. Some of the old monsters that had lived for far too long weren't unfamiliar with this aura. This aura not only made them tremble, it made their minds go blank and replaced their thoughts with fear. Lord of the Sealed Realm. Compared to the outer realm, the people of the Sealed Realm didn't feel as much of an impact. Only the most powerful people in the 4 star systems felt it. In the God sect, inside a chamber, sat a boy. This person looked like a boy, but his hair was grey. He sat there as if he hadn't moved for countless years. However, just at this moment, his eyelids trembled and he suddenly opened his eyes. Master's aura. In the Rain Celestial Realm, Qing Lin was silently cultivating, trying to recover his power as much as possible. However, at his moment, his eyes shined like they had never shined before. He suddenly stood up, looked into the distance, and let out a deep breath. Teacher. The Wind Celestial Realm was filled with countless mosquito beasts. On a collapsed celestial realm fragment sat an elder. This old man looked like a statue as his body had turned to stone. However, at this moment, cracks appeared on the eyes of the statue. As cracking sounds echoed, this old man seemed to open a pair of eyes that hadn't been opened for a very long time. That old man's aura. The old man's eyes revealed a strange light as countless memories awakened from their slumber and filled his brain. After a long time, he closed his eyes and became a statue once more. In the star system under the lightning celestial realm, a woman was standing on top of a mountain on a cultivation planet. She looked at the sky with reminiscences and confusion in her eyes. I can't remember. Whose aura is this? It's very familiar, very familiar. At this moment, on a cultivation planet in the star system under the lightning celestial realm, there was a youth sleeping on a mountain. His body trembled as he looked up and started into the distance. After a long time, he scratched his head. Scared this old man to death. I thought it was those old fellows coming down from the celestial domain to catch me, but why does this aura feel somewhat familiar? This youth was the person who escaped from the crack during Wang Lin's divine retribution. The moment the door formed by the heaven-defying bead opened, a person slowly walked out. The old man that was retreating and constantly dissipating in the light from the door was frightened, but soon he frowned. It's not the Lord of the Sealed Realm. Could this person be the second Lord of the Sealed Realm? His aura isn't strong. The aura that makes me feel terror is in the door behind this person. The person who walked out from the door was Wang Lin. He didn't have his body. He was only an origin soul. The old man's eyes lit up, then he clenched his teeth and waved his right hand. A black fog appeared around him and he charged ahead. Kill this person and steal the heaven-defying bead. If I can do this, I don't need to worry about the sovereign. This old man was now surrounded by the black fog. He resisted the powerful light with force and closed in on Wang Lin, but his black fog was dissipating. A black claw reached out from the fog and mercilessly clawed at Wang Lin. Wang Lin's eyes lit up. He felt the source origin energy of a third-step cultivator closing in on him, but he was extremely calm. He coldly looked at the claw closing in on him and took a step back into the door of the heaven-defying bead. When the old man was close, the heaven-defying bead's gate released a powerful light. At the same time, a giant arm appeared outside the gate and mercilessly reached toward the old man. The black fog around the old man exploded into a surge of source origin energy to resist the huge arm so he could have the opportunity to kill Wang Lin. However, the collapse of the black fog didn't cause the arm to pause one bit. It instantly reached toward the old man. No matter how much the old man tried to dodge, he couldn't avoid the arm. He clenched his teeth. Then the old man bit the tip of his tongue to spit out blood and his body multiplied into 3 of him. 2 of them charged toward the arm and 1 of them charged toward Wang Lin. Just at this moment, the giant arm formed a fist and its speed doubled as it swept by the 2 clones of the old man. Then it quickly withdrew and grabbed the old man charging at Wang Lin, and it mercilessly squeezed. If my original body was here, I might have had a chance to fight, but now, the old man revealed a wry smile as he let out a sigh before his body dissipated. From beginning to end, Wang Lin had an indifferent expression that didn't change at all. After the old man dissipated, the gate behind Wang Lin flashed once more and rapidly shrank. The door became a blur and disappeared back into the heaven-defying bead. It took Wang Lin's origin soul and left. Then it broke out of the star system and disappeared without a trace. The 7-colored realm had been dark for 100 years. On this day, a bright light appeared in the sky above the mountain in the deepest part of the 7-colored realm. The moment this light enveloped the 7-colored realm, a vague illusion with confusion in his eyes appeared. He let out a sigh as he looked at the body covered in dust on top of the mountain. It was like a dream. A dream that lasted for many years, the illusion murmured as it gradually merged with the body on the mountain. After a long time, Wang Lin opened his eyes and popping sounds echoed inside his body. The dust was immediately blown away. After sleeping for 100 years, he once again stood up. The moment he stood up, the aura of a late-stage nirvana cleanser cultivator spread out from his body. This aura continued to rise until it broke through to the peak of the nirvana cleanser stage. However, it didn't stop there. It increased like crazy once more. It was attempting to reach the nirvana shatterer stage. The amount of Tao intent and origin energy he had absorbed from one of the flowers was extremely large. Although the heaven-defying bead had absorbed a majority of it, because Wang Lin had taken the initiative to take from the heaven-defying bead for the first time, he still got a lot. At this moment, his hair moved without any wind and his body gave off a strange aura. A fire tattoo formed in his left eye and a lightning tattoo formed in his right eye. They flew out and fused into one. There was also the vague outline of the word battle in it. This was a mark that had never appeared in the world. It was a completely new law. At this moment, as the mark flashed, it landed between Wang Lin's eyebrows and became one with his true and false domain. A yin and yang-like mark suddenly appeared outside his fused thunder and fire tattoo and slowly rotated. Eventually, it gave off a demonic glow before shrinking until it looked like a star. It then hid itself between his eyebrows. No matter how you looked at this star, it looked very similar to a star of an ancient god. If a 9-star ancient god had formed this star made of law, many would mistaken this ancient god to be a 10-star ancient god. The moment this law star appeared, Wang Lin's body gave off the aura of a nirvana shatterer cultivator. This aura was earth-shatteringly powerful. Wang Lin took a deep breath and his eyes shined. He raised his right hand, quickly formed seals, and pointed at this body. His face turned slightly red, but he didn't stop and pointed even more. After placing down countless seals, he finally stopped. The nirvana shatterer aura from his body gradually dissipated until it was hidden under the numerous restrictions. This aura is enough to make my cultivation reach the peak of the early stage of nirvana shatterer, but this is from comprehension I don't fully understand yet. If I don't fully comprehend all the Tao I absorbed, using this cultivation will make it almost impossible for me to advance. It will have way too much of an impact on my future cultivation. However, giving it up now would be a pity, so let's seal it first, and once I have thoroughly comprehended all the Tao intent I absorbed, I can release the seals one by one. At that time, there will be no harm. It will also make my cultivation even stronger. Wang Lin took a deep breath, and there was a flash of coldness in his eyes. With my peak Nirvana cleanser cultivation that is half a step into the Nirvana Shatterer stage, combined with my ancient god body, my spells, and magical treasures, I wonder how strong I am. Can I win against late-stage Nirvana Shatterer cultivators or even peak Nirvana Shatterer cultivators? I should be able to win against late-stage Nirvana Shatterer cultivators, but as for peak Nirvana Shatterer cultivators, since I haven't battled one, I don't know. If there is a chance, I should fight one. The mark hidden between Wang Lin's eyebrows flashed uncontrollably and a powerful battle intent enveloped him. Wang Lin took a deep breath and suppressed the star and frowned. He knew that this was the result of him not completely understanding the Taos he had absorbed. It is time to leave. I wonder how the mosquito beast is doing after all these years. Also, how long did I sleep inside the flower for? It should have been at least 20 to 30 years. Wang Lin's eyes were bright and filled with self-confidence as he walked forward. He left the mountain and flew straight ahead. Now that this is over, I should go to the Wind Celestial Realm. If I can gather a large amount of mosquito beasts, I can even try to break into the God Sec. I just don't know if Tuor Sen has awakened yet. At this moment, in the ancient star system, among the boundless stars, Tuor Sen stared at the stars. He clenched his teeth, feeling extremely gloomy. He was filled with anger and wanted to destroy every living thing he saw. He had put lot of effort into breaking through that formation. In the end, at the cost of collapsing a star and sacrificing the third step cultivators sealed in his stars, he was barely able to get through the sealing formation to devour Wang Lin. However, right now, no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't find Wang Lin's aura. He is not inside the sealed realm and not in the outer realm, but his aura was inside the realm sealing formation. Could he be hiding inside the sealing formation? But that is impossible with his cultivation level. He roared at the sky and his eyes became bloodshot. He became aware of some ancient cultivators in a starfield in the distance. Without anywhere to vent his rage, he shook his fist and rushed in that direction. Damned Wang Lin, this god will find you one day. I'll devour you to appease the anger in my heart. Wang Lin stepped outside the mountain while pondering. The crack above the mountain had disappeared along with all the light, and the seven-colored realm had entered darkness once more. Looking at the darkness before him, Wang Lin's divine sense spread out. Just as he was about to leave, he was startled and looked down at a valley below. Come out and see me. Wang Lin's voice was calm, but it contained a majesty that couldn't be refused. His cold voice echoed inside the valley like a blast of cold wind. The entire seven-colored realm trembled. It was like the word of law. Anyone who heard it would feel their mind tremble. Master Cloud Soul was sitting inside a cave in the valley. He had awakened the moment the light appeared above the mountain and Wang Lin returned. Following that, he felt panic and an inexplicable sense of fear. He vaguely guessed that the person from 100 years ago seemed to have returned. His killing intent from 100 years ago had mostly dissipated with the passage of time. Just as he was hesitating, he felt an aura that almost made him lose his wits appear. At the same time, those cold words crashed into his body from all directions and landed directly on his origin soul. His face was pale and a thunderous rumble seemed to echo inside his ears. A faint, blue flame appeared around him as if it was burning him, and thunder spread across the entire flame, causing his body to feel numb. What shocked him even more was the crazed battle intent inside his heart. If he could vent this battle intent, it would be fine, but it was locked inside his body. This battle intent burned his origin soul, so much so that the pain even caused him to let out a miserable groan even with his cultivation level. What made him feel even more terrified was that he had a powerful feeling that if he didn't go out immediately, the other party only needed but a thought to kill him. This. How could he be this strong? Master Cloud Soul's face was completely pale and filled with fear. He could clearly feel that the difference between the Wang Lin now and the Wang Lin from 100 years ago was like the distance between heaven and earth. Master Cloud Soul charged out of the cave without any hesitation and saw Wang Lin floating in the sky. The moment he saw Wang Lin, his mind went blank and the pounding of his heart replaced everything. The surroundings were completely silent without a single sound, but in Master Cloud C's mind, The world had become Wang Lin's palm. He was trapped inside Wang Lin's palm with no chance of escape. His life was no longer in his own control, but in the hands of the person before him. In particular, he got a strange feeling from between Wang Lin's eyebrows. Although there was nothing there, he felt like there was an eye staring at him. The eye contained a lore he couldn't imagine. He felt like the blue flame, thunder, and battle intent that could collapse his origin soul had all come from that third eye. Back when Wang Lin distorted his transfer, making him appear in a valley filled with fierce beasts, although he felt fear, it was insignificant compared to this moment. In his view, the aura Wang Lin gave off could sweep the entire seven-colored realm, and he was like an ant before Wang Lin. This feeling became stronger and stronger, causing Master Cloud Soul's face to become even more pale. Wang Lin coldly looked at Master Cloud Soul and raised his right hand. He pointed at the void and his cold gaze collided with Master Cloud Soul. A strange mark appeared from Wang Lin's right hand and slowly flew toward Master Cloud Soul. This mark wasn't fast, and if Master Cloud Soul wanted to dodge, it would be very easy. However, before Wang Lin's stare cold, sweat came from Master Cloud Soul's forehead, and he didn't dare to move. He had a strong feeling that if he dared to move, what awaited him would be a slaughter. He believed that Wang Lin could do it and even instantly kill him. This was a sense of prediction he had gained from countless years of cultivation. He had never felt it as clearly as today. He helplessly looked at the mark closing in and began to struggle, but in the end he gave up all resistance. He allowed the mark to embed itself deeply between his eyebrows. The moment the mark landed, the blue flame, thunder, and battle intent inside his origin soul gathered between his eyebrows. They fused with the mark, and after flashing a few times, it disappeared. Master Cloud Soul secretly let out a breath of relief, then he became very respectful and whispered, "This old slave greets master." With his cultivation level, he could naturally see that the mark was not to kill, but to control. Although the other party hadn't explicitly said it, Wang Lin's actions revealed his intent. Either live as Wang Lin's slave or die. This was indeed Wang Lin's idea. If Master Cloud Soul didn't yield, he wouldn't mind killing him. Wang Lin withdrew his gaze from Master Cloud Soul and calmly asked, "How long have I been asleep for?" Master Cloud Soul felt bitter in his heart, but there was no unwillingness in it. However, there was a trace of confusion, especially when he thought about the Wang Lin from 100 years ago. He couldn't help but let out a sigh. When he heard the question, he quickly and respectfully answered, "Master has been asleep for 99 years. Wang Lin's expression was neutral, but his heart was shocked. He stared at the dark world before him and silently pondered. So, this much time has passed. Master Cloud Soul didn't dare to disturb Wang Lin's pondering, he just looked at Wang Lin with a complicated expression. He could have never dreamt that the person he looked at with disdain 100 years ago would become his master. A moment later, Wang Lin's body trembled and he flew off into the distance. Master Cloud Soul followed after and sighed in his heart. With Wang Lin's current cultivation level, he moved very fast and arrived at Simamo's Valley. Due to Wang Lin's will, this place was spared when the fire and thunder swept across the seven-colored realm. He waved his right hand. Wang Lin walked into the valley. Master Cloud Soul respectfully stood outside the valley. Without Wang Lin's command, he wouldn't dare to enter even half a step. Inside the valley, Wang Lin looked at the familiar scene. These 100 years had passed by so quickly that he was caught unprepared, which made him feel a sense of crisis. Tuo Sen should have already escaped. Wang Lin's eyes lit up and he went straight for the first cave. His divine sense spread out and he let out a sigh of relief. Inside the countless restrictions in the first cave, all the origin crystals had been used up and all the beast souls were gone. The mosquito beast was lying on the ground with a cocoon-like structure around it. It was extremely weak and seemed to have no strength to break free. The moment Wang Lin's divine sense entered, the weakened mosquito beast immediately opened its eyes. There was a hint of confusion in them, but soon they filled up with joy. It began to struggle, but at this time, it still lacked enough origin crystals to complete its transformation, so it couldn't break free. After Wang Lin saw this, his heart ached as he opened the cave and went inside. His right hand reached at the void and a crack to this storage space opened. All the origin crystals he had flew out. The moment these origin crystals appeared, they released dense origin energy and flew toward the cocoon. The mosquito beast start absorbing them so it could continue its metamorphosis. Go bring Chen Tianjun here. He should still be alive. Wang Lin's divine sense message penetrated out of the valley and entered Master Cloud Soul's mind. Master Cloud Soul respectfully acknowledged before he charged off into the distance. Chen Tianjun was sitting inside the same cave from 100 years ago. His mind felt very complicated during these 100 years, and his hopes of leaving seemed to have disappeared. He often stared blankly at the dark world before him and thought about his life before entering here. Teacher and my fellow brothers should be in the rank 9 region on the battlefield against the fierce beasts. That's where I should be. I shouldn't be here. He had spent the last 100 years alone in this dark world. He had become desperate, but the moment Wang Lin awakened, that bright light that appeared in the darkness made Chen Tianjun tremble. He wanted to leave this place. He wanted to leave this place very much. This kind of anxious mood was enough to burn his soul. He suddenly stood up before he rushed out and looked into the distance, and his mind trembled. He came back. Just as he waited anxiously, Chen Tianjun immediately saw the ray of light in the distance. He saw Master Cloud Soul inside the light and immediately felt his heart skip a beat, and he retreated a few steps. He became very cautious. Master Cloud Soul floated in the air and coldly looked at Chen Tianjun. He slowly said, "Fellow cultivator Chen, Master wants to see you. Please follow me." Master? Chen Tianjun was startled, and after silently pondering for a bit, he seemed to remember something. He took a deep breath and followed Master Cloud Soul without a word. Shortly after, Chen Tianjun arrived in Sima Mo's valley. He clearly felt Wang Lin's aura here, and his eyes revealed ecstasy. "Fellow cultivator Chen, please come in," Wang Lin's voice said from inside the valley. Chen Tianjun excitedly entered the valley. He immediately saw Wang Lin's figure outside a cave. "Brother Lu." When Chen Tianjun saw Wang Lin, his voice trembled in excitement. After 100 years of waiting, the day had finally come. Even he found it difficult to control his mood. "Did you get enough origin crystals?" Wang Lin nodded slightly. "Enough, more than enough." Chen Tianjun raised his hand and opened a crack to this storage space. He took out a bag of holding and respectfully handed it to Wang Lin. After Wang Lin accepted it, he scanned it with his divine sense before leaving one sentence and walking into the cave. "Wait for me. I'll take you out of here." Chen Tianjun had waited 100 years for this. He took a deep breath and suppressed his excitement. He then looked up at the dark sky. At this moment, even the dark sky seemed brighter. "We can finally leave." Next part 312. Inside the first cave, Wang Lin opened the bag of holding. There were a lot of origin crystals inside. It seemed that Chen Tianjun had indeed been earnestly collecting them. He waved his right hand and all the origin crystals from the bag were dumped out on the surrounding restrictions. Popping sounds echoed as all the origin crystals Wang Lin had placed before had all their origin energy drained and dissipated into dust. As they dissipated, the new origin crystals fell. Large amounts of origin energy entered the mosquito beast through the restrictions. Large amounts of vitality entered the mosquito's body, and it slowly recovered from its weakened state. The purple on its body disappeared and was replaced by a faint, golden glow. The golden light was very dim, but when it appeared, the mosquito's body released pressure. 100 years of refining with enough origin crystals to make any sect's heart ache, along with a special method, finally allowed the mosquito beast to successfully transform. As origin energy continued to enter it, the mosquito beast looked better and better, and it began to struggle and roar. Finally, when about 70% of the origin crystals in the bag were consumed, the mosquito beast let out a roar and rushed out of the cocoon. The moment it flew out, its sharp mouth stabbed into the cocoon and sucked it dry. The loud roar echoed out of the cave. The pale, golden mosquito beast was very cheerful as it circled Wang Lin. Its large mouth kept licking Wang Lin, and it seemed very excited. The size of the mosquito beast had changed. It was now only 30 feet long, but it gave off an aura that rivaled Nirvana cleanser cultivators. Wang Lin smiled as he waved his right hand to put the mosquito away. The mosquito beast was his ace, and before he had his own horde, he wouldn't let others see it. After walking out from the cave, Wang Lin pondered a bit and then took away all things in the caves, including the giant pill furnace. As for the caves with the lost ones and enlightened ones, they were now all empty. All of them had died in his battle with the white-haired old man when the white-haired old man summoned all of their Dao intents. Even the old man in the 8th cave had disappeared without a trace. There were only bones and ashes on the ground now. Although Sima Mo had found all his sect members, none of them had awakened, and they all dissipated. Wang Lin let out a sigh as he stood outside the 6th cave and his hand pressed down on the stone gate. The time restriction rippled, but at this moment, Wang Lin's eyes lit up and his right fist mercilessly smashed into it. A powerful impact came from Wang Lin and landed on the rock. Also, the star formed by Wang Lin's law flashed at this moment. There was a heaven-shaking rumble as the rock under his fist cracked and collapsed. Chen Tianjun personally saw this. He gasped and looked at Wang Lin in awe. Even Master Cloud Soul outside the valley noticed it, and his mind trembled. The moment he opened the rock, Wang Lin could clearly feel that he was much stronger than before. This feeling was very good. Wang Lin entered the cave, picked up the jade inside, and scanned it with his divine sense. Just as he expected, the jade contained the method of the time restriction. Using the same method, Wang Lin opened the 7th cave and also took the jade inside. Wang Lin scanned it with his divine sense, and after memorizing the time restriction, he crushed the jade. The time restriction was one of the 4 great restrictions, and even Sima Mo required 100 years to learn it. This restriction was so profound that it needed careful studying to learn. It was also powerful, and if Wang Lin's cultivation level hadn't increased greatly, or he didn't have great knowledge in restrictions, or he hadn't inherited the annihilation restriction, he could not have broken it so easily. In addition, the most important part was that Sima Mo hadn't learned the true essence of the time restriction. After all, he didn't have enough time and only just barely learned it. Wang Lin wouldn't allow others to learn it from the jade due to his negligence. Therefore, he destroyed the jade so that only he could master it. This 9th cave had the most restrictions and was also the most mysterious among all of Sima Mo's caves. Wang Lin saw 7-colored fog inside but couldn't see inside the fog. Moving forward, he arrived outside the 9th cave. He placed his right hand on the rock and pressed down. Ripples spread across the rock and it slowly became transparent. Wang Lin's eyes were like lightning as he looked inside the cave and saw the 7-colored fog that seemed to have existed for an eternity. The 7-colored light seemed to leak out from the cave, lighting up this dark valley. Looking at the 7-colored fog inside the cave, Wang Lin vaguely saw something. At the center of the 7-colored fog was a skeleton. It was the corpse of a beast, and it looked like a small deer. However, there was a short sword stabbed into the beast's bones. The moment Wang Lin saw this, his eyes lit up. He clearly remembered that he had seen something like this before in the 7-colored realm. He didn't understand what this meant. After pondering for a long time, Wang Lin's right fist fell on the rock. Popping sounds echoed, but the rock didn't collapse. Wang Lin frowned, then his hands formed another first and he let out a cold snort. There was a loud rumble, and the entire valley seemed to tremble. The amount of cracks increased until the rock shattered into countless fragments. The 7-colored fog didn't change at all due to the collapse of the rock, it still stayed in a blob and moved strangely. Wang Lin's eyes lit up and he slowly walked into the cave. He stopped outside the fog and began to carefully observe it with his divine sense. After a long time, Wang Lin's expression changed and he saw some clues. This fog hadn't appeared out of nowhere, it seemed to have come from skeleton of the deer. Interesting, Wang Lin's eyes lit up and he raised his right hand to reach into the fog, but his expression suddenly changed and his right hand stopped. At his moment, he could clearly feel the All-Seer's origin soul struggling to charge out from the 18 Hell Celestial sealing stamp. This was the first time a soul that was sealed and removed from the reincarnation cycle showed signs of struggle when it wasn't summoned. Wang Lin's mind immediately entered the 18 Hell Celestial sealing stamp. He swept through the 18 layers of hell to where the All-Seer's soul was and fused with it without any hesitation. Wang Lin's aura gradually changed drastically. He no longer looked like Wang Lin but became the All-Seer. He was calm, as if everything in the world was under his control and nothing could move him. Feeling the All-Seer's soul, Wang Lin could clearly sense the soul's desire for the seven-colored fog. This desire was very strong. It was obvious from its attempt to break out from the celestial sealing stamp. Desire. I want to see what use this seven-colored fog has to you. Wang Lin's eyes revealed a seven-colored light and his right hand reached into the fog. Just at this instant, the seven-colored fog churned and entered Wang Lin's right hand. Soon, all the seven-colored fog disappeared, but more appeared from the beast bone, and that new fog was also absorbed by Wang Lin's right hand. The fog entered Wang Lin's origin energy and went directly into the celestial sealing stamp. The All-Seer's soul began to absorb it like crazy, and as he absorbed, it was as if he had gone from being an illusion to having flesh and blood. Wang Lin felt like he was looking at the real All-Seer rather than a fusion of two souls from the All-Seer's avatars. Time slowly passed. After 15 minutes, the beast bone no longer gave off seven-colored fog. All the fog that went into Wang Lin's body was absorbed by the All-Seer's soul. The All-Seer's soul sat down as if he was cultivating to digest. The feeling that Wang Lin disliked a lot became more and more clear. Very interesting. Wang Lin observed for a while and then withdrew his divine sense. His gaze fell on the short word inside the beast's bones. Wang Lin pulled out the sword and carefully looked at it. There was also a seal on it, and it was exactly the same as the one he got before. The moment he pulled out the sword, the beast bone turned into ashes. After pondering a bit, Wang Lin knew it was not the time to release the seal. He put away the short sword and walked out of the cave. Looking at the dark sky, Wang Lin softly said, "Let us leave." With that, he moved and took Chen Tianjun out of the valley. Master Cloud Soul followed as they charged toward the edge of the seven-colored realm. The three of them quickly moved with Wang Lin as the lead, and an aura suddenly appeared in the distance. It was the old woman in green. She seemed very hesitant and didn't dare to come in too close, instead opting to follow behind them. The 4 rays of light flew across the sky and arrived at the edge of the seven-colored realm. They arrived at where the altar was when they arrived, but the altar had collapsed. Standing here, Wang Lin's hands formed a seal and the method to leave he had obtained from Master Ashenpine's memories appeared in his mind. His hands moved faster and faster and seals appeared in the void. As it gave off a gentle light, a hidden crack seemed to slowly open. However, just at this instant, Wang Lin's expression changed, his hands stopped, and his head looked up at the dark sky. At this moment, a giant vortex appeared out of nowhere. When it appeared, it seemed to cause the dark sky to collapse and made the fragments of the sky part of the vortex. 2 ruthless gazes that had been marked by the passage of time appeared within the vortex and fell on Wang Lin. "You've devoured my Dao fruit and you want to just leave like this?" This sound was like thunder descending from the sky, causing the earth to tremble. Countless cracks appeared on the earth as if it was going to collapse. The sound of collapse was hidden in the darkness and came from all directions. The moment this sound appeared, a pressure came from all directions and slowly descended. As the pressure descended, the seven-colored realm seemed to become a void where endless power began to rush in from all directions. Chen Tianjun was the weakest person here. Just under this pressure, his origin soul trembled and blood came out from the corner of his mouth. He subconsciously took several steps back as his expression changed greatly, and he took out pills to devour to help him resist this pressure. Master Cloud Soul's face was pale as he stared at the sky. He looked at the pair of eyes and felt like he was naked under the gaze. Popping sounds came from his body and his face became even more pale. The old woman in green's pupils shrank and her face became pale. An illusion appeared around her as she quickly changed between an old woman and a beautiful, middle-aged woman. Only Wang Lin stood tall. As the pressure descended on him, the area around him began to distort. It was as if there was a law around him that didn't seem to mix with the world. He stared at the eyes in the vortex and remained silent, but his right hand gradually formed a fist. "I won't bully you. If you can survive this palm, I'll let you live." The voice from inside the vortex sounded tired as it slowly spread out. The moment this voice fell, the vortex in the sky rotated rapidly. The speed of the rotation immediately reached a peak. As it stirred up the sky, even the eyes became hidden inside the vortex. The vortex roared loudly and the world seemed to start to collapse before Wang Lin's eyes. Just at this instant, the vortex descended with the power to destroy the world. It was as if all life was going to be torn apart and become part of the vortex. As the vortex descended, the earth trembled violently and the sounds of endless tearing echoed in the darkness. Chen Tianjun coughed out blood. As the vortex descended, his origin soul trembled violently. Master Cloud Soul and the old woman in green all trembled, and their eyes were filled with panic. The vortex descended even faster, pressing down on the earth. Wang Lin's eyes flashed cold and he jumped into the air like a meteor. He charged straight into the sky and threw a heaven-shaking punch at the vortex in the sky. A heaven-shaking rumble echoed across the seven-colored realm like roaring thunder. Countless bolts of thunder flashed in the sky along with the punch. Like millions of silver snakes, they lit up the world. The countless thunderbolts had appeared due to Wang Lin's punch. When the punch landed, the thunder all gathered on Wang Lin's right fist, forming an unimaginable impact that shot up at the sky. The thunderous rumble continued to echo, but the vortex didn't stop at all and mercilessly pressed down on Wang Lin. Floating in the air, Wang Lin's clothes made a lot of noise. He could clearly feel that the suction from the vortex wanted to suck out his origin soul, suck out his origin energy, and crush his body. "Do you all want to wait here to die or rush out with me?" Wang Lin's words echoed like a blast of cold wind that landed in the ears of the three people below. Master Cloud Soul clenched his teeth and jumped to the left of Wang Lin. He waved his sleeves, causing countless soul fragments to appear, and they let out shrill cries. Master Cloud Soul's expression became ferocious. The old woman in green was pale, but she didn't hesitate to charge out and stand to the right of Wang Lin. Her hands formed a seal and a mist appeared around her. The mist was blood red and contained the aura of life and death. There were a large amount of restrictions flashing inside. Chen Tianjun was the last person to fly out. He stood below Wang Lin. He waved his hand and all the pores on his body opened up. The aura of beast souls appeared until more than 10 beast souls were surrounding him. Among them there were 2 rank 12 beast souls. Although they were extremely weak and not as mighty as when they were still alive, it was still shocking. Wang Lin didn't look at the three around him. The star made of law flashed between his eyebrows. Then he waved his right hand and the trident appeared. He gripped it tightly in his hand. What about the power of one palm? Wang Lin rushed out while laughing at the vortex descending from this sky. It looked like the sky was collapsing and was going to crash down to the earth. All life would be crushed. No chance for survival. As Wang Lin continued to charge, the thunder around him flashed like crazy and battle intent filled his body. An unexpected desire to contend against the world began to form. Even if the sky was going to collapse, he would find a way to charge through and kill the heavens. Under this battle intent, Master Cloud Soul let out a roar and the soul fragments around him began to gather. He took out a black awl and spat blood on it as if releasing a seal. The awl immediately gave off an ancient aura as he rushed out after Wang Lin toward the vortex. Master Cloud Soul's blood seemed to be boiling. If he could charge out, he would live, if not, he would die. The old woman in green's face was without blood, but her eyes were bright and determined. She waved her right hand and the mist around her split into 2. One was life and the other was death, and they coiled around her like 2 dragons. The life and death fog dragons charged out with her as she followed Wang Lin. Chen Tianjun followed as all the beast souls roared and gathered around him. They let out roars of struggle for survival as they charged out like crazy. The 4 rays of light closed in on the vortex in the sky, with Wang Lin leading the way. They got closer and closer. An instant later, they collided. Wang Lin was filled with battle intent as he waved the trident and began his attack on the vortex. His body was filled with the power of an ancient god as he moved like a meteor that could break all barriers in the world. He ripped a hole in the vortex. However, the vortex was too big. When it shrouded them, Chen Tianjun was the first that couldn't withstand it. The beast souls around him collapsed and his body trembled before he exploded and was absorbed by the vortex. His origin soul struggled to escape, but the vortex was too strong and he was about to be pulled in. "You're promised to take me out. You're promised." Chen Tianjuan's origin soul released a miserable divine sense message. The moment his message echoed, Wang Lin suddenly turned around and his right hand reached out. He grabbed Chen Tianjuan's origin soul and began fighting with the power of the vortex. With a bang, Chen Tianjuan's origin soul was split in half. One part was devoured by the vortex and the other half was taken by Wang Lin. Wang Lin charged at the gap in the vortex. The moment Master Cloud Soul charged into the vortex, popping sounds echoed in his body and he coughed out blood. All the soul fragments around him died and even the magic treasure collapsed. However, the magic treasure wasn't ordinary, and by using its collapse, he rushed into the gap Wang Lin had opened. The old woman in green clenched her teeth and charged at the gap. Under the powerful suction force, all her life and death restrictions broke and she coughed out blood. Seeing the suction force increase and the gap closing fast, she formed a seal. Then she pointed to between her eyebrows and caused her body to tremble. A figure appeared on her right and another on her left. One was an old woman and the other was a middle-aged woman. The moment these two figures appeared, they chose to self-destruct. She was able to find a path to survive at this moment of danger. With the power of the double self-destruction, the old woman in green was able to get through the gap in the vortex. However, this wasn't over, it had just begun. The vortex went through everyone and landed on the ground. A thunderous rumble echoed as the earth trembled and began to move. 5 towering mountains suddenly appeared. Looking down from where Wang Lin was, he could clearly see everything. This is. Blood continued to come out from the corner of his mouth, and there was no joy in escaping. As he stared at the earth, his eyes revealed disbelief and fear. The old woman beside him was far too injured and looked dispirited, but her eyes revealed the same level of fear. This entire earth unexpectedly became a giant palm at this moment. The 5 towering mountains were the 5 fingers of the palm. The large amount of cracks that had appeared on the ground were the palm's palm print. This palm's size was beyond imagination. The palm made up of the 7-colored realm slowly gave off an aura far more powerful than the vortex. What was the power of a palm? The 7-colored realm was the palm, the mountains were fingers, and the cracks on the land were the palm prints. This was the power of a palm mentioned by the ancient voice. At this moment, Wang Lin, Master Cloud Soul, and the old woman in green were still inside the 7-colored realm, which was inside the palm. The tired, ancient words echoed inside Wang Lin's mind. The meaning of these words was still very obvious. Escape the palm and they will live. Just at this moment, the palm formed by the 7-colored realm began to slowly close. A majestic aura spread and a thunderous rumble echoed as the fingers closed in. It was as if the palm wanted to crush the ants at its center. There was no fear in Wang Lin's eyes, and a powerful battle intent filled his body and his blood seemed to boil. Between his eyebrows, 6 blurry ancient god stars rotated rapidly, and at the center was the star made of the law of his domain. At a glance, he looked like a 7-star ancient god. Let's fight. Wang Lin held the trident and swept it to the side of his body. He was like a battle celestial as he rushed down. While charging, the ring Wang Lin got from Pangdetsai shined and rays of light surrounded him. The light rotated rapidly, forming a storm around Wang Lin. Wang Lin charged at the giant palm made of the 7-colored realm. Master Cloud Soul hesitated a bit, then he clenched his teeth and charged after Wang Lin. As for the old woman in green, she was too injured. Without thinking, she flew up in an attempt to avoid the palm. The palm formed by the entire 7-colored realm rumbled as the 5 fingers closed in. It wanted to completely crush Wang Lin. This scene shocked the world. The 5 fingers formed by the mountains came from 5 directions and pressed down. The entire sky was occupied by the mountains. It was a shocking moment. The quickest was the pinky finger of the palm. Before it even got close, there were already bursts of wind. This wind was very powerful. It was as if the world would collapse under it and all life would perish. In the wind, the old woman that was already seriously injured became deathly pale. However, She struggled to fly higher in an attempt to escape the palm. She knew that the target of this unimaginable palm was Wang Lin. As long as Wang Lin died, it should calm down. At this point, she no longer dared to even think about leaving this seven-colored realm. The only thought in her mind was to survive. No matter what, she had to survive. As long as I can last until that person named Lu dies, I can live. The old woman's green robe was stained with blood. She struggled in the wind to fly higher. Wang Lin's eyes were filled with battle intent as he saw the pinky closing in. The finger was incomparably large and almost covered half the sky. At this moment, it bent down toward Wang Lin. I wonder if this person is the sovereign. He wants me to escape, but why should I escape and how can I escape? I might as well fight. Wang Lin laughed as the star made of law rotated and his left hand pointed at the sky. Black wind suddenly filled the sky. This black wind was very dense, enough to completely cover the sky. There were 6 dragons roaring inside it that immediately charged at the pinky. The moment the 6 black dragons appeared, a 7th black dragon appeared inside the black wind. Originally, with Wang Lin's cultivation level, 6 was his limit, but with the star made of law, he was able to break the limit and call out the 7th dragon. The 7 black dragon carried a cold energy that could extinguish life toward the pinky finger. If pinky finger was the towering mountain, then the 7 black dragons were the celestial dragons that would smash the mountain down. They wouldn't give up until the mountain collapsed. A thunderous rumble echoed across the world as a huge impact scattered like crazy. Not only did Wang Lin not retreat from this shockwave, he closed in and pointed at the sky. As the black dragons continued to smash into the mountain and collapsed one by one, a cold energy appeared. It contained a sticky feeling, and in a flash, countless flashes of light appeared. Then drops of rain instantly formed. The moment the raindrops appeared, endless origin energy condensed, stirred up the wind, and fused with the raindrops. An extreme aura suddenly enveloped the area. The moment Wang Lin waved his left hand, these raindrops shot out like swords and charged toward the palm below. Cracking sounds echoed as white frost appeared on the surface of the palm, and in the blink of an eye, ice appeared. In particular, the pinky finger was hit by most of the raindrops. The frost swept over it and it was wrapped in inks. The ice didn't stop here but immediately burst open. This wasn't due to the power of the palm, but the ability of summon the rain. Before Wang Lin's cultivation level increased, this change would not have appeared. However, after his cultivation level increased, and with the stimulation of the battle domain, this drastic change to summon the rain occurred. After the rain was ice, and after the ice was collapse. The power of the ice would cause the target to collapse, creating an attack far more powerful than just ice. Sounds of the ice collapsing echoed across the 7-colored realm. The palm with 5 fingers shook but didn't stop at all, it immediately came crashing down. Even the pinky only shook a bit, regardless of how much the black dragons or the ice collapse attacked it. Wang Lin's eyes were bloodshot. After using ice collapse, he didn't stop. He waved his left hand and opened his mouth. The celestial sealing stamp flew out and a large amount of battle souls appeared, but not the All-Seer's soul. The rest all followed Master Void and charged toward the pinky with mournful cries. Wang Lin was already going all out. After he used magic arsenal, his left hand formed a seal as he pointed at the ground and shouted, "Mountain crumbles." The entire earth trembled as 5 majestic volcanoes formed before Wang Lin, the fire inside them raging. Although they were illusions, the mountains continued to crumble. Also, at this moment, countless strands of slaughter energy charged out of his body. This was all the slaughter energy he had absorbed from the grey-robed All-Seer. The slaughter energy condensed into a red sword and shot toward the pinky that was closing in, along with all his other spells. All of this happened in a flash. All of them appeared as the 5 fingers closed in. At this moment, black wind filled the sky, the black dragons roared, rain was everywhere, ice collapsed, battle souls roared and even self-destructed, mountain crumbles formed a monstrous force, and there was slaughter energy in the air. All of this became an extremely powerful spell, and it shot toward the pinky. The 6 volcanoes immediately overlapped with the pinky, and there was an earth-shattering rumble. The 7 black dragons collided with the pinky and exploded. The rain continued to form ice that continued to collapse. Endless battle souls closed in and suddenly exploded, creating powerful impacts. The sword made of slaughter energy stabbed into the finger and shattered into countless strands of slaughter energy. A large amount of slaughter energy rushed inside the finger. The earth shook enough for Master Cloud's soul to cough out blood and the origin soul of the old woman in green to almost collapse. This heaven-shaking rumble echoed across the realm. The pinky formed by the mountain suddenly collapsed. As cracking sounds echoed, countless cracks appeared as the upper part of the pinky finger exploded, creating a storm that scattered in all directions. Wang Lin's face turned pale and he coughed out blood. The light protecting him shattered and Pang Detsai's ring shattered. Wang Lin's body was immediately thrown backward. Master Cloud Soul was behind Wang Lin. With Wang Lin in front, the pressure he suffered decreased a lot. However, his origin soul trembled, all the meridians in his body shattered, and his bones all broke. He became a bloody mess. The old woman in green was far away and therefore wasn't affected by the shockwave much. She had been flying up, so she had escaped by sheer luck, but the shockwave still almost caused her body to collapse. She originally thought that she had escaped this calamity and felt lucky, but soon her expression changed greatly. She wanted to retreat, but it was too late as the index finger moved at an incredible speed and collided with her. The old woman in green's body became a blood mist. Her origin soul struggled to escape, but as Wang Lin retreated, he waved his sleeve and captured her origin soul. The palm made of the seven-colored realm had 5 fingers, and now half a finger was missing. However, the pinky that was broken in half didn't dissipate but absorbed the origin energy of the world like crazy, and it was rapidly reforming. Once this half a finger reformed, all of Wang Lin's effort would be in vain. At this moment of crisis, Wang Lin's eyes were filled with battle intent and madness. He charged toward the index finger that had swept past the old woman. He had to be fast as the other 3 fingers were closing in as well. He can imagine that once all the fingers closed in and the palm formed a fist, he would have no chance of survival. He had encountered countless crises in his life, but the person who was causing the crisis was the strongest one he had ever faced. When the index finger closed in, Wang Lin's left hand reached at the void and Master Ashen Pine's pseudo-nirvana void treasure, the crystal sword, appeared. He spat out blood onto the crystal sword to draw out its full potential and then threw it at the index finger. The crystal sword immediately released a heaven-shaking sword hymn and a monstrous sword energy. It was shrouded in sword energy as it shot toward the index finger. Pseudo-nirvana void treasures were extremely rare in the sealed realm. These were treasures with great power. At this moment, the sword charged out with the power to cut the heavens and instantly collided with the index finger. A thunderous rumble echoed. Before this rumble, Wang Lin's roar seemed a bit lacking, but it caused the crystal sword to release an even more powerful attack. Sword, shatter. The moment Wang Lin spoke, the crystal sword suddenly collapsed, forming an unimaginable shockwave that caused the index finger to pause. He didn't have time to feel his heart ache as his left hand waved outside his storage space and a treasure flew out. The same pseudo-nirvana void aura spread out. There was still one more pseudo-nirvana void treasure inside Master Ashen Pine's storage space. It was a blue battle axe. This axe was refined by some unknown method and had a large amount of seals on it. This video will end here.